690. Today we're going to seat the valves in the CD175 head. I know that I said I'd do it before and I sort of forgot all about it, and I thought about it today, and I went and I bought new valve seals also, which I'm waiting to come in the post. And so we're going to seat these valves today and at least get that part done. There hasn't been much movement on the CD175 because I've been really held back by waiting on parts, and I've just been tortured, and not by the owner, just getting parts for this bike to finish it off. So can't really do a lot until I get them, except seat these valves. So that's what we're going to do today. Okay, so you'll see I've got the head of the CD175 here, which I cleaned up. I have to clean up the top yet just to get ready for the gasket. Inside here we have our valves, as you can see, and there's 4 of them. And the only way it seems that I can get my trusty valve compressor at them is to unscrew these caps. So that's what I'm going to do next. And I'm going to find the right size, and I'm going to compress the valves and hopefully get them out without any hassle. And then we'll continue on with the seating process. Okay, the caps are off. So it is important to note what side of the engine you're on when you're doing the valves, because there can be a difference in valve sizes depending on whether it's the exhaust side output or the intake side, which is where the air comes in and the fuel comes in. So this is the intake side on this. You can see where the carburetor fits, and this is the exhaust side, or external side of it, output. And you can see the 2 exhaust ends there where that would go. So just to be noted. You don't really need this, but another useful tool to have when you're doing this is a little magnet similar to this. This is a telescopic one, but it's just so that you can grab the keepers in case you lose them. They'll stick to this, and you can put them in a box or something that you'll not lose them. So that's a handy tool to have. I've selected the correct size for this valve for my compressor, and I'm about to now put my compressor together and compress it. Okay, so for the benefit of those who have not got a valve compressor and have never used one, the piece that you size goes on top of the valve. You can see the gap in it. You've got this like screw. You can put that screw either side of this, and the other end has another screw coming up that goes into the bottom of the valve. And so when you turn this, it'll push the spring down, and it'll allow you to remove the keepers in there. I don't know if you can see them, they've loosened up there. So I am now going to take my magnet and see if I can lift 1 or 2 of them out. So magnets in. Okay, we've got success. There's the 2 of them on the magnet and going into the box straight away so we don't lose them. And we will inspect all of them to make sure that they're right, because I have done damage to bikes before by not checking them and them coming out again then. So if they're not in good shape, you need to replace them. So when I take this off now, the springs are both going to come out, and the valve will be able to just slide out the bottom. Okay, so I've took the springs off and the little cap, and I've left them exactly as I got them to show you. This is the cap. Took it off first, and then you have 2 springs. One sits inside the other one like that. Right, so then we're going to pull the valve out, which you just push with your finger, and there comes out the valve, you see. And we're going to have a look at this and see what state it's in. Oh dear, we've got a lot of oil here. Oil's not something you really want to be seeing here. That tells you that your valve seals are probably leaking and they need replacing. Stem seals. There's a bit of carbon build-up, but it's not too bad. You can see there. So I'll clean that up and we'll reseat that, but the seats look good. As you can see, the seat doesn't look too bad. No pitting really. That's what you want to see. So I'm going to do all the rest of these valves like this. I don't need to show you every single one as I'm doing it. So I'm going to do them all, clean them up and reseat them. I'll show you a little bit of the seating process. Okay, so that's all of the valves removed out of the head, and we're just going to examine the seats here. You can see the bigger one is the intake side and the smaller one is the exhaust side on this bike. And that's usually the case with most bikes. I need a light here so you can actually see that a little bit better. I'll just have to see if I can get one for you. Give me a second. Is that any better? Maybe just a little. Yeah. So these are the seats, and you can see there's a bit of light rust on them and a tiny bit of pitting, but it's really not much. The seating probably will take that out of it. You can see here a bit of corrosion, but that's literally just from sitting in my shed because it hasn't been sealed up. It's been open to the elements and it has just rusted a little bit, which will clean off very quickly. It's only light rust, and then we'll reseat all these. These are the actual seats here. That little ridge you can see, the shiny ridge. So we're gonna reseat that now in a wee second, and we'll put the valves back in. Then I did notice on this exhaust valve here that it was quite oily when I took it out, so that's telling me that the valve seal, stem seal is gone on this side. So I'll have to look into that and replace it. By the way, the signs that your valve stem seals are gone is that the bike will get quite smoky. Intermittently it will get quite smoky when bits of oil are dripping down into the chamber and it's getting burned off. So if you ever have a problem with your bike smoking a bit like that, it may be your valve stem seals. Okay, so just to show you, on the exhaust side, hold on, I'll get the light. The light is on. On the exhaust side, you can see this little piece that sits on the top here, and that's your valve stem seal cap. It's just a little cap that goes over the valve stem seal to keep it in. And you'll see that on this side I have taken it off, which it just lifts off. But you've got to be very careful that you don't lose any pieces, because you can see here, after I've lifted this off, there's a little keeper on the top of it. Do not lose that. And then also, this is the actual seal poking up out of this cap. And you'll see that I'm able to push that down into it. Now this is the seal that I thought was pretty bad. And I'll just get it out with the stem here, just to have a look. Yeah, so just managed to loosen that up there, and it would usually sit this way in the engine with the little narrow part sitting upwards. Now I have been putting this on the stem of the valve, and it's there's a bit of play there. It's a wee bit on the loose side, which tells me that this seal probably isn't that good. And it's a good job I ordered 4 of them today, because I kind of figured that would be the case. So I will be replacing them. But I just took this off to show you. Be careful when you're turning things upside down that you don't lose anything like that wee washer there. So I'm going to put this back on now just for safekeeping, and wait for the stem seals to come, and we'll fix that part of it after we've grinded in the valve. Okay, so you'll see that I have very gently used this little brass brush on the drill. Now don't dig in. You do not want to scratch the surfaces of the seats. But I have used that to clean the carbon off and the rust off from the insides there as good as I could. And you'll see that it looks good. Now a good idea after you do that is to use a metal polish to just polish the surface here, and that's to prevent carbon build-up in the future. It helps it not to adhere to the surface as easily. And my favourite go-to is always Autosol. I use a lot of this on chrome. It is just one of the best, and I've tried a lot, but Autosol appears to be the best one. By the way, I forgot to mention earlier that when you're taking these valves out of the head, You should always note where you take them from, which side you take them from, because it's very important that they go in the exact same place, as they all wear differently. So it's very important that you know exactly what valve came from where, and you put them back in the same way you got them. So you'll see that I have mine left and right, and this is the left hand side, and that's the right hand side, and that's where they came out of. So something to note. Okay, so this is the first valve we're going to do. It's an exhaust valve, which is smaller than the intake, and you can see that I've cleaned it up a bit. You have to be very careful when you're cleaning these. You do not scratch or score the edge, or you will destroy the valve. It will never get a proper seating or seal. So what I've got here is a valve seat kit, and what you get with it is a little kind of a stick with a sucker on it, and you've got a coarse grit paste, and then you've got a fine grit paste. So what you do is you get the rough grit first, you smear a little bit onto the edges of the valve, and you put a little bit in the seat area here all around, and then what you would do is you put this valve into the seat, and you pick the sucker that suits it best to turn it, and you push it down on it, and you turn it like that there for a good few times until you get a nice grey edge on your valve and your seat. Okay, so I'm after doing the first one with the heavy grit, or coarse grit paste, and you'll see that on my valve I have now got a lovely grey edge. Now there is an odd little pit there, but if I do it a little bit more I will get rid of that, but I'm just showing you the way. What you need to be seeing is like this, and your seat should be the same the whole way around. Shouldn't be any pits, should be nice grey area just way in there, as you can see I have. So that's what you're going for, and then you go with the fine grit, and you do it again with the fine grit, and you do that for all four. I'm sorry you couldn't video me actually doing it, because I don't have a stand for my phone, because I broke it the other night, and so I'm back to holding the phone but with my hand here. But you would smear a bit of the paste just on the edges the whole way around in there, then you put your valve in with the paste on it, put it down, then you would get this and roll it in your hands like you were trying to start a fire with sticks, and it turns like that there and turns the valve. You might want to lift it every now and again and put the valve back down again, just to get the grit to do its job. You will feel it getting finer as you go along. So that's the fine grit done now, and you can see that there's a definite line on that valve now, and a very nice clean one, and even the seat inside is the same. So that's that one finished, and I'll do the rest now, and that was just to show you how to seat your valves. So that concludes our video for today. As you can see, I've done all the valves now, and they've all got a nice rim on, nice silver rim on them, and the seats are all nice, got a nice rim on them. Now the next thing to do would be to do a leak down test, but you can't do that until you have all your springs and everything fitted back on and the pressure is on the valves. So you would fit all that on first, and then what you would do is you would progress to filling the bowl here full of a little bit of fuel or water even, and just see if it leaks out of it. If it doesn't leak out of it, you're golden. It's a good job. If it does leak out of it, you have a little bit of a problem, and you have to go back and look at it and see what the issue is. But I'm happy with the way they've turned out. They're, as you can see, pretty good. That's just oil you're seeing there. They're all very nice. Seats all very nice. That's just a little bit of oil I used earlier, just to keep it right and not rust over. So there you go, guys. That's the valve seated now and on to the next part of the project whenever I manage to get the seals for it. By the way, just a quick update on the CB125RS. The frame has been sent away to a panel beater to see if he can connect the two ends, the back end of the bike and the good part of the frame. So we'll see how that works out. Time will tell. I did check up on it last week. He hadn't done much with it. I'm hoping that he'll have more done this week or next week. So I'll have more news on that bike then. And just to end our video for this evening, I cleaned up the last two casings and got a coat of primer onto them, which looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. So that was the last bit of painting of the engine that had to be done. Bar just putting a bit of silver on it now and a bit of lacquer. And you can see I tried to clean up that, because it's a little bit of aluminium there, I tried to clean up that. I may polish it a bit more. But that's it, guys. Subscribe. Don't be afraid to comment. If you like my videos, please hit the thumbs up, as it helps with the YouTube algorithm. And I'll see you the next time.